Oh, excuse me. Thank you, Alyssa. Alyssa is on Zoom.
She's eavesdropping.
Thank goodness. Thank you for eavesdropping.
Okay, are there any agenda adjustments that anybody would like to suggest?
I thought we were going to talk about the possibility of meeting in a different location.
Well, that's not an agenda change. That's, we can put
I
it,
don't see it on the agenda. We talked about it not last month because we couldn't meet, but the meeting before that.
okay, well, we can add it to the tail end of the agenda
Thank you.
since it's not already there. Any other agenda adjustments? Seeing none, we'll go ahead with the rest of the agenda as noted. The minutes, actually, of the November 2nd meeting, were there any corrections?
There were some minor corrections. I think Rick was helpful with that.
Any other notes that we need to make on the minutes? Okay, then we'll consider them approved as amended. And now the treasurer's report. Okay.
Nothing new to report. We sent out to everybody. I think everybody got a copy of it. So,
Right. Okay. We do not have any guest speaker tonight. And this would be the time for public comment. I don't see anybody in the waiting room. Okay, so
Jim, can I
no, yes, sir.
jump in one thing on the guest speakers? Maybe it's not for this point here. Maybe you have something to add to the agenda, but to hear from people if they have any ideas of who maybe they'd like to invite for future guest speakers.
Yeah, I think it was a good addition to our agenda to have guest speakers. So if any of you would like to suggest a group or a person that would be particularly relevant to what we do, I think that would be very good. So there is no public comment tonight on non-agenda items. Figure out which way to. Okay. Next would be communications. The only thing I had was a couple of greeting cards, which I didn't get to until today. So from both from DHHS and the Humboldt Area Foundation. Any other communications from other members of the commission? I do want to report on the fact that we did the Human Rights Awareness Month proclamation for the Board of Supervisors. I have to say it was very well received. I think better than usual. And I think it was partly because of the tone that was in it. We highlighted hate speech and free speech and the challenges that poses. And the board seemed very agreed to that. In fact, they asked me to come back up to the podium to elaborate a little bit on our forum that is coming up. One of the supervisors specifically wanted to get the date, time, and everything because I think she plans to attend. So all in all, it was pretty good. I think somewhere in December, I was also at the Arcata City Council meeting, and we had this very similar proclamation read there, and it was well received at time as well. Any other commissioner notes or comments or announcements? Larry, is there anything to report on the correctional facilities?
Since the last meeting, we've had 5 jail calls. Couple of them, one I referred to Kim was a lady that had just been thrown in and was looking for legal assistance. So, what we normally do, and I did in this situation, I just simply did not respond. And I asked Kim if she thought that was the appropriate, way to handle it. We had, when Carol was on, she got a call from one of the long time inmates that unfortunately I don't know, I'm really not, I can't really I don't know what to call it, but incredibly paranoid, rambling, that fills the messaging over and over and again. And again, if you're on the phone, then you'll know immediately who this person is or something, and we have had the liaison actually cut off his privileges in the past, but he's now apparently back able to call us. So be forewarned, and if you have any questions or any issues, let me know. I'll be happy to intercede. We had one individual that it was kind of interesting that he was having the jail wouldn't let him give his money that he had apparently in an account to his girlfriend for some reason. He wasn't sure. I talked with the liaison about it, and it was just a question of following the court procedures. So that one I think is going to go fine. Another one, calling concerning his privileges being revoked because of his behavior, and he's very upset about that. And I talked with his wife about that, and she again spoke with him. Calmed down the situation. I think, and we had one, another one that was so horrible that we couldn't understand his name. He did give a number, and I gave that number to Bryce, our liaison, and she was able to find out who it was, but that individual, that's it all on the jail calls.
Didn't you have one that was relevant to diet?
Yeah, that was this actually the guy that was worried about his funds being reduced was the same guy.
Oh, it was the same guy.
Issues with his diet.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how do we intervene in something like that?
Well, again, what we did was I talked to Bryce, the liaison, and she's really great. We're really fortunate that link there. And she went to the kitchen and got the information about diet that was appropriate and got it back to him.
So he got taken care of.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Any questions for Larry? Okay. Now we have a period of time. Obviously, we didn't meet in December. And so I left some names on here. It was just between October 1st, which would have been you, Ellen, and December 31st. Are there any other message line items that are noteworthy that we should hear about?
There were 2 left on the message line from you told me about, and November 20th and 21st. They hadn't been responded. I took the messages and called them The first individual was, it was a rest home situation. The management had changed and the new management was creating some draconian rules, and he was very upset about that, and actually had gone to legal services, and they had taken his case. So we kind of backed out from it, but he was happy that we could get a hold of him. The other individual, an incredibly bad line. I told him, please call us back, and if you still need our help. And he has not.
He didn't do that. Hey, Aaron or Rick, Lance isn't here. Or Carol, anything to report?
I can just say I had 3 calls. 2 of them were from the jail. They were referred to Larry. Larry followed up very well with them. The one call was actually from the woman who was on the Zoom in November. And she followed, and after she was right at the beginning of the month, and then she appeared on Zoom and she expressed what her concerns were at that time.
Oh, okay.
Lori, I don't think it's probably not appropriate to give her name.
No. Okay.
I had 3 calls, which I gave to Larry, but then I need to apologize to Larry because after those calls, I completely forgot about the message line. So I'm sorry because Larry was next.
They got
And that was really, there was just the one jail,
Go.
which was a jail call. That was the Rambler.
That's the one.
So, Aaron, did you have anything?
I had 4 calls total. 2 from jail, which were forwarded. One, it was just someone left their address, and
Oh, but no phone number?
yeah, and the other one was regarding a statement from the Coucher regarding Palestine.
Okay. All right. And I can report that in the first 3 or 4 days, I've had no phone calls yet. But then,
I'm sorry, I got one in December that another one I should.
oh, okay, go ahead.
It's kind of an interesting one, and maybe it could help with this one. A lady called concerning being denied services from Redwood Coast Regional. And apparently they have intake process, but the intake person isn't ready for some reason. And she feels that she's being discriminated against, that she is, deserving of services. Apparently, according to her, there is no appeal process that she is able to access. I've tried to call the individual that's been Reading a number of times, left my home phone, so I haven't called back and he hasn't.
This is the Redwood Regional Center.
Yeah.
And what services would they be providing?
Pardon?
What services
Well,
would they?
she's definitely had disabled and physically and mentally. That is what she was saying. And she was thinking if she's getting some services, because she does have a home health services in the home, but then I'm not sure, I wasn't clear exactly what the services she's looking for. But anyway, I'm still on this and I'll follow through with it. But at this point, we're kind of.
Okay. Alyssa, you had a comment or a question?
Comment in response to that last statement. Redwood Coast Regional Center has a disability rights advocate that works specifically for individuals at RCRC and other individuals concerning RCRC. This person's name is Cliff Black. and I will put it into chat. Maybe Jamie can write it down for you or something. That would be fantastic. And I will send that right off so that you can have that information. And then also, this individual can contact Tri-County Independent Living if they would like further assistance and achieving their goals while they are going through the process of our CRC. And I'll write that all in an email, I guess, to you.
They'll go to, send that to me.
Did you say you were going to put it in chat?
It's not, there is no chat.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah, I realized chat was probably a bad idea. So I'll just send it off in an email.
Yes, you're over here.
Yes. So you have Larry's email?
You should.
She should.
Great. And I can find the name. I can.
Okay. All right.
Larry, did the person happen to mention where they're living?
No. The only, apparently, she's, the lady is black and feels that part of the reason she's black is I suggest that CP if she did reach out to them.
Okay. All right. Well, I am on the phones right now until the 15th, but we could use 3 volunteers for the next 3 periods. So
I'll go the second half of January.
you want to go next?
Yeah.
Okay. That leaves February 15th, or 1st through the 15th and the 16th through the 29th.
Whichever one you
Take the last.
So you first, Aaron. Okay. And then third on the last part of it. Okay. All right. Item number 9 is standing committee reports. I'm assuming there's nothing to report on sanctuary.
No, nothing to report other than, issues in Arcata.
Okay. Oh, with the gardens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know they made an arrest. That's all I know.
Oh. Hopefully it was somebody that's been doing it over and over again.
Yeah, apparently maybe the same guy.
Oh, good. Well, I attended or I was the only one that attended a meeting of the Humboldt Equity Consortium yesterday. The meeting got canceled, but I didn't hear about it.
The emails, I was like, what are you doing there? The 8 people said they couldn't go, so they didn't.
Yeah, I understand that, but I think
Dang it.
the email was sent out about an hour and a half before the meeting was to be held, and I didn't see it. So at any rate, the last time we did meet, they were very interested in collaborating and discussing the sanctuary process in the county and how the various groups that are members of that consortium might become more involved. So the next time we meet, which will be February, we'll see what we can learn from that. Under ad hoc committee reports, cultural awareness. Carol, is there anything to report there?
Looks like I said, the extend committee date, but also, I know I checked with some of the schools and they already have a cultural awareness program in pretty much the schools in Humboldt County.
All over.
So that I don't know if the school thing was something that we could do. The other thing that we could do would be the activities in Humboldt County. Remember, we tried that a few years ago. We had that list and we tried to keep that updated. I'm not quite sure if that would be the focus of this committee.
Well, there's nothing that says we have to maintain a committee all the time just for the sake of having a committee. So we could either extend this and leave it open, or we could just discontinue the committee if that's what the commission wanted to do.
And it would be up to Miller, Luckty, and Wiley if they think this is something we could still pursue with cultural awareness.
What do you think?
Well, having the schools, they have their programs, and I think that was one of the focuses this group was looking at the schools and seeing what the curriculum was. So even in Del Norte, they have it at the high school. Well, I haven't heard of anything in the schools where they're not promoting, especially with indigenous people. It's always in the school systems. But I don't know about the other cultural entities. Because I think there was a concern even right now with the Jewish people. And I haven't heard anything. I guess maybe we can have a poll, have a committee email and have a poll to see if we should continue.
And if you decide to take a new course, that's fine. We'll list it. If you decide to disband the committee, we can also do that. And then if you do decide you want to continue, you might propose a new ending date, because all of these committees would have expired in December had we met. Yes, Holly.
There was a peace rally at the church at Hodgson and Jay on a Sunday afternoon, and it was very well attended. I was amazed at the amount of law enforcement that was present, because it was it was a Sunday afternoon and mid-December, but I guess no one, I didn't see a lot of familiar faces. I saw a lot of familiar faces, but it was a fascinating bringing together of folks of various religious and peace-oriented, so interesting clothing, interesting topics, read by Naomi was one of the principal speakers. It was very well done, very well attended.
Good.
The room was full.
Very nice. Okay, well, unless there's anything else on cultural awareness, we'll wait to hear from the committee. At least a week before the next agenda gets written up. Okay, next item would be, and I'm going to phrase this correctly. It's free speech versus hate speech forum. Rick, would you like to report on where we're at?
So our committee has been working with the League of Women Voters of Humboldt County to develop this forum a little further. I'd like to summarize what we've done so far, and I will be asking the committee, the commission as a whole, to endorse the project and also to support some of the needed funding that we see associated with it. So kind of as Jim mentioned, it's a forum that's kind of clarified that it has a number of themes, but includes clarifying and contrasting, say, hate speech from other hate speech, and also addressing, say, how targets of hate speech and other members of the public can, address hate speech and counter it. The date that we have tentatively that we have set is Wednesday, February 21st. And the site would be at the Sequoia Conference Center at the County Office of Education. It's conference room B. So there is a cost with this, and the cost is $100 an hour for a minimum of 4 hours. So that would be basically $400. That would be required. The timing right now that's proposed is that we would be in the conference room between 3 and 7 p.m. So late afternoon to early evening. 3 to 4 would be for setup time. 4 to 6 would be for the actual forum. 6 to 7 would be for cleanup. Right now, the league is developing details of the actual forum, including the format and the questions that would be posed to the panelists who are coming. And the commission is commissioned with handling the logistics of the setup, marketing, refreshments, kind of the support activities. Both of our groups are actively involved with trying to identify the very best array of panelists that we can. I can just say that at the moment, we've had 4 potential panelists who have said they would agree to serve if they were requested. We haven't identified finally anyone yet, but these include Betty Chin, Sharon Blanc, Sean McLaughlin, and Lart Doolin, who have agreed that if they were requested. Others are being contacted, Rabbi Naomi Steinberg, Judge Abby Albananti, Brenda Perez from Sanctuary, and Joshua Harkins. And also we're looking at a possible civics teacher that could come in and who has worked with students in dealing with these kinds of issues. So from those accepting, then our committee will look to say, well, what is kind of the best combination, the best array of panelists that we would like to include? That's something that we will decide once we find out who's willing and basically who's available for that. In addition to that forum, the Boys and Girls Club will be doing a small skit, and Lance is kind of arranging this with them. I think Ann Hartline is also going to be working with you to kind of get that out. So that should be a very nice addition and include this younger outlook as well. So in terms of, say, marketing, we have a tentative press release. I realize that probably nobody has seen it. So I have run off copies and I could pass those around if that would be appropriate.
Why don't you, just in case?
Thank you. And I don't know if people want to just take a moment to read it, just because I don't want to just kind of talk over you, but give me a chance to take a look at it and see what it says.
And then we decide to put free speech before hate speech.
Yeah, that.
Free speech versus hate speech. Just to start. Sorry.
While it's going around, I might also say one of the things that we would like to do for marketing, in addition to having a press release and having this sort of be the basis of ads in the medium, is that it would be nice if we were able to get a poster or a flyer. I don't have much experience in that, but that would be something that would be, I think, very good to be able to distribute, say, in store windows or wherever it might be, welcome to have them placed as well. So that may be something that we can kind of brainstorm to see how we might approach that. So go ahead and read that, and then I'll just let you take a moment for that.
I have a couple of thoughts on the press release. I think it's very well written. I like it a lot. I do have a couple of minor edits at the end of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Seventh sentence, first paragraph. Get rid of the period at the end of public.
Oh, that's a typo.
And a typo.
Yeah.
And then second sentence, second paragraph. Will be fielding questions from the league.
Several panelists. It's a long sentence. It starts with several panelists will be fielding questions. Probably could have been shorter, but
It makes sense for us. It is all right with, because we have met about the format, and the league people who are doing the format have decided that they will do only the question, the lead will do the questions, and the panelists will have the questions beforehand, so that they can prepare answers for them.
And each one is going to get the same question or different?
Every panelist will get the same question.
Okay.
And they do not have to answer it if they don't want to. Then we have decided that we would have a break in the middle, a 5 to 10 minute break, and then more questions. And at the end, probably 15 minutes maybe, we are going to give the panelists a chance to present anything that they want to say about it that was not addressed in any of the questions that we came up with. We're not going to ask the audience to write questions, but we are going to have tiny Post-it notes that they will be able to write a topic and say, this topic was not addressed. And then the moderator will be able to say to the panelists, these things, people are interested in these particular topics, if you have anything to say about that topic. So that's how we will let the audience have some kind of input, but we are not going to have questions from the audience. One of the problems is that if we have 5 panelists, we've decided that no more than 5 because of time. And we would not be able to get to more than 10 questions in the whole 2 hours.
And where are the questions coming from?
From the league.
The league is asking the questions.
Yes.
I thought that.
Those of us on this committee, so from the league, will be putting together these questions. We will also let you know, the whole commission, if anybody has ideas about questions, please let us know right away, because we will be writing those questions and we will be sending those out ahead of time. One of the concerns was that Betty Chin is one of our panelists, and English is her second language, and she is, not a polished public speaker, and perhaps needs a little extra time to process things. And we decided that that would make it easier for everyone if they did know what the questions were, and they would be able to focus on what they think about that particular question. They also can say, no, I have something to say about that question if they want. But this, we've gone around and around about how we can make this most comfortable for the panelists and most beneficial for the audience. And one of the problems with having the audience propose questions is that if you don't ask their question, they're mad at you. And time means that probably we would not get to all the questions that were asked.
And to my question, my issue is, we'll be fielding questions from the league. It's not quite correct.
It's not correct.
So I'd like that rewritten so it's reflective of what the situation is.
And maybe I can work with you right on that. That would be just fine.
Does the league have any idea of how they would like the skit to be presented at what point?
No, we didn't decide the timing of that. So we can talk about that on Monday when we meet.
That sounds good. Maybe just, it would be helpful to have an idea of what the length of the skit would be.
Yeah.
So that they can,
They're talking to me about 10 minutes.
At the most, 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay.
Couple of questions. One, I didn't, somehow I missed the fact that we had reduced the panelists to 5. As 7 is out of the question?
Well, those of us who have done many, many forums know that with 5 people, it's challenging to get very many questions in. 7 is really difficult.
Is it the time we're allowing or just
Well, it's both. It's having so
it
many.
expands to the,
For every person you add 1 to 2 minutes for every question for each panelist that you add. And so we were doing the math and we decided that 5 would be the most, the best number for what we're trying to do. One of the other things that I thought after I looked again at this is that I think we need to emphasize that this is an educational forum, because people have looked at the league and seen candidate forums, and I don't want them thinking that there's anything political about this. This is an educational forum. So maybe we need to put that in there too, emphasize it.
The other question I had was if you are to receive questions from any of us, is there a deadline for that?
Yeah, as soon as possible, because we need to send out information to the panelists, telling them, giving them all the details and giving them the questions.
I think that the committee's decision needs to come back to the commission for us to talk about and review, because I hadn't heard about the limitation of the 5 either. So I'd like to talk about that as part of the commission. Can we?
You can, yes, certainly. We did talk about it. That was discussed a couple of times.
I must have missed it.
And we recommended 5. We said 7 was really pushing it, but we can certainly talk about it if you have a lot of different ideas. I mean, I'd like to hear them and why.
For me, it depends upon who the 5 is. What kind of representation do we have in the community? Does it necessitate that we add another member in order to flesh out our representation? That's the only question that I have.
Okay.
I wonder if some of this isn't going to be better addressed on our meeting on the 8th, on the next Monday.
Okay.
And then we can go ahead and look at some of these things in more detail.
And maybe we have some decision on
Right.
some of these panelists.
Oh, sorry, look over this way. Carol?
I just have one suggestion. You guys can take it or leave it. Your last sentence in your second paragraph,
Okay.
where it says likewise serious effort, I think would be more beneficial to the reader if it was your last sentence in your first paragraph.
Okay, we'll take a look at that. Thank you.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah. Nice guy's hand up.
Nice.
Just one other comment, again, take it or leave it, but on the first paragraph, 6th sentence, instead of saying deteriorating atmosphere, I just change it to threat to.
Change it to what?
Threat to. So it is designed to address the threat to civil dialogue. That way you're not directing people that it's deteriorating. We haven't got there yet, I hope.
Okay, we'll take a look at that too. Yeah, thank you.
It's not an humble thing.
I know you have a proposal. I'd like to make a comment. Maybe now is a better time to do it. If you're paying any attention to news media at all, especially on television, I have started to become much more aware of the language being used, not just by the people that are advocating hateful speech, but even the people reporting it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not being careful about the kind of words they choose either. For instance, instead of saying the 2 people tried to debate an issue, the language now is we've got to kill them, or somebody was killed in the debate. It's the words that we're using are bad to begin with, and I know it's tabloid writing, I'm afraid, and it's if you really start to listen, it's almost daily. You'll see it, and the channels I watch, I am a little disappointed because they're not doing any better than the ones I expected to do badly. So I just thought I would throw that in.
Okay, yeah, I would like to make a motion and go from there. One thing is that having missed the December meeting
I'd like to say one thing real quick.
behind,
I'm sorry, we forget you're there.
Thank you. Something that I heard a couple years ago and really lived by is that your opinion does not matter more than my civil liberties. It's kind of like, just like, you can go ahead and have whatever opinion you want, but if it infringes on our human rights, then what is it really worth?
Good point.
Before you make the motion, I thought I had one more thing that you talked about. We have put in a request for Access Humboldt to take this, and there will be a cost involved with that. We don't know yet what the cost will be, how much they will have to do, and how much is done at the Sequoia Center. That is in the process of being researched right now. So I don't have an amount to tell you, but there will be a cost.
Is it a significant cost or?
I really don't know.
And there's not going to be TV, the local access channel is not going to be there.
Yeah, it said, yeah,
They'll be there.
it's
That's what
They will
covered.
be there,
They
and they're
will,
going to tape it,
and they will be taping it.
and they'll charge us for that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's, the idea is that they will tape it and then it can be shown over and over and over again, on Access Humboldt. They like showing these things again.
Great.
So I would like to have in the motion something about having that as long as it is doable, with our budget.
Do we need to put a dollar figure on it?
Well,
Or-
let me make my motion and then maybe we can, actually, I had time to make the motion and then have all the questions come out, including these topics. But I think we've got a lot of good ground covered, but let me go ahead and make the motion. So I move that the commission support the development of the free speech versus hate speech forum, including $400 for the rental of the Sequoia Conference Center, if that is needed, and up to $400 for marketing and refreshments, which could include, for example, Access Humboldt as well.
That include, well, is there a second?
Also,
Okay. It's been moved and seconded that we do all of that. But I think the figure from the HCOE was 450. Because that included minimal access to the kitchen.
Okay, well then I would be glad to change that if the second is also amenable to that. So including 450 for the Sequoia Conference Center. I said if needed, I'm not sure if the county is able or interested in supporting us at all. If not, then we'll pay for it. But if they have funds also to support something like this, I'm starting to discuss. But anyway, then that would be something to consider also.
I would like to suggest that you change the 400 for the second part of that to 600, because I don't know what Access Humboldt will be, but I
One of
suspect.
the issues,
Okay, so
Is that all right with you?
that's okay with me?
one of the issues we've had before, even our meeting here, is transportation for people who want to come. Are we gonna try and figure out how we can, help people transport from Arcata, Fortuna to
Bus services. Yeah.
bus service?
Yeah, there's, very adequate public transportation available for people. And they're still available to go home at 6 o'clock. That would be what I wondered. I don't have this bus.
I'll check the schedule right now.
Thank you.
I know for a few meetings years ago, we began arranging members who were from Arcata, would be willing to go by and pick up people that were interested in our meeting and provide transportation. Do we want to do something like that for this?
That might be something we're taking up as our.
Talk about it Monday?
Yeah, that sounds like a good topic.
She's checking the bus schedule too, but there's a bus stop right out front. There's a location for that.
So you want to restate your motion?
I will be glad to restate it. And I'll state it even faster this time. So I move that the commission support the development of the free speech versus hate speech forum, including $450 for rental of the Sequoia Conference Center if needed, and up to $600 for marketing and refreshments.
And
Yeah, well, that would be part of marketing. Okay, I can add and taping.
sure.
Marketing, taking, and refreshments.
Yes.
Okay, is there further, now we've had all the discussion.
I have,
Yes, go ahead.
before I vote. So fully in support. However, looking at the bank statement that guy sent us, that's $1,300 in there. Is there other money?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a budget with the county, and I'm not sure how much, I think it's in the neighborhood of 3,000, right?
Okay.
That's why we can do it.
Yeah, that's why I needed a question answered first before I vote.
Sorry, I have printing press.
What'd you say?
No printing press.
All right, any further discussion on the motion? Okay, all those in favor of approving the budget up request, please indicate by raising your hand. It is unanimous.
Okay, that also is, of course, just the whole idea of the forum.
Yes, it's not just the money, it's the support.
I had a question, and maybe I missed it when I was reading this, but I didn't see a time on the press release.
It's February 21st from 3 to 7 p.m.
Okay.
Well, back to the press release, if we make the changes,
4 to 6.
Before the 6 is the actual forum, 3 to 7 is what is our occupancy of the conference.
I wrote the initial copy here, and the idea being that a press release like this would go out right away because it's an initial announcement. And then later, as we get maybe a week or two ahead, another press release could go out with a lot more detail.
Okay.
So I don't know if you agree with that, but that's what my logic is.
I have one question. Sure. I'd like to see if there's any suggestions as far as how we might proceed with a flyer or with a poster.
I could probably just throw something together in Canva.
Oh. Do you need a certain amount of information then?
Yeah, once you have like the time and everything, you just put a,
Okay.
I can do something.
Shall I email you or what would you like? Okay.
Yeah, email works for me.
Great. Thank you very much, Sharon.
That's a real value.
Would it be possible, Jim, that the meeting on Monday could be allowed to finish the details of this press release so that we can get it out next week, rather than having to come back to the meeting in February here?
Yeah, I don't.
Oh, no, we should do that. Yeah, so if you have a meeting on Monday, it'd be nice if we could get this distributed Tuesday.
Okay.
If I could, one more thing came up when those of us on this committee were reporting to the league board the other night. The topic came up about would you think it was valuable to let the Eureka police know about this and ask it for some involvement or some awareness,
Yeah.
perhaps.
Well, know what's going on.
In view of the police presence at that Sunday afternoon peace gathering out at the church, I think that's advisable.
I'd like that. I think it makes really good sense.
Even if they're just in the neighborhood,
Well, but we'll talk about this Monday,
No,
but I'd like law enforcement representation on
I think we
that.
should have the whole commission know about that and be on board that this is a good thing to do.
Great.
Maybe just does anybody have any objections to us doing that?
Just a note, Rick, that if you send me, when you get the press release, if you send it to me, I can send it to my connections with the press, and I can also send it to the chief of police, who's I've been dealing with Mr. Stevens, Chief Stevens, for some time now.
You have a pretty complete list of media
Yeah.
to reach out to.
Yeah.
Also, our finished product, send it to, I still have the hands. I don't remember what I was going to say.
You said you could finish product.
Once you,
Send it somewhere.
You want to see a cause and press release?
doesn't it? I have no idea. I'll bring it up later.
So the press release should be ready on, after Monday night, and I can send that to you then like on Tuesday. Wonderful, thank you.
Just a question for Eric.
I remember what it was. Excuse me. Sure. Once we do this press release thing, can we also send out a copy to everybody on the commission so we can begin sharing it with friends?
Good idea.
Build it through the community?
That would be nice for a poster if we could really do.
If we can get the posters, we could, I would like to see us plan to, anybody that has a social media page, Facebook or whatever, to share it there, because that will probably reach more people than our own Human Rights Commission page, which is kind of dormant. So,
Wait, we have a page?
yeah, we do, believe it or not. It's been very inactive.
What would be better is if we all friended that page and they're there and then we reshared it.
Oh, that's.
Yeah, I was just like, where is it gonna originate from? If we have an account it can originate from, then we can all share it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Anyway, that would reach hundreds and hundreds of people between all of us, so. Okay.
That's it for me, unless there's any questions.
Okay.
Good work, but.
Great committee.
I should mention that I have not heard, well, we'll need a check guy for the 450 initially, so that we can secure the hall. I still have not heard from risk management as to the insurance coverage. I turned in the request quite some time ago, but I'll keep on that. So is the check, you still have the lease information, Rick? You still have the lease information? Didn't I hand it? Who does he make the check out to?
Oh, yeah, no, I should have that right.
I would think if you want insurance, there's no question about the insurance being available.
Not sure.
No, I just haven't seen what kind of a rider they provide for county groups doing something like this. It shouldn't have been that big of a question, but
Basically,
they may be used to it for the planning commission. That not used to doing it for a smaller commission like ours.
well, that's.
Oh, that's, okay. Saving paper, okay. Gotcha. Yeah.
So we're all,
Yeah, you just give me an address. There's no address on that.
okay.
We have nowhere to send it.
Okay. Next item up is homelessness and behavioral health. Guys, is there anything to report there?
Nope, I just would like to move, it'll be extended for the year. I don't think. obviously-
12/31/24.
Yeah, so obviously it's not gonna.
Advertisements are now all over the ways for the March. Guess it's the election in March.
March 5th, isn't it?
Yeah, the mental health bill that Newsom and Steinberg, mayor of Sacramento, have been pushing. And I'd like for us to get this on the agenda for us next month.
It's on the agenda for today,
Today?
under new business.
Guy, you rock.
Well, I don't know, but I didn't bring any of the language again. I sent it, but
Oh,
2 or 3 months ago.
well, we can start talking about it when we get to new business.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I think it's a great idea. We talked about it and it's perfect timing.
We lost Lisa. So I'm assuming we don't have a report from Indigenous Peoples Committee. Well, I would still like to suggest that we extend that committee through 12/31/24, unless there's any objection. And
One comment on that, I mean, I was hoping that Lisa was going to be here because, you know, one of the concerns that she had was the shooting that took place in Hoopa now months ago, and there was supposed to be an investigation and it's gone quiet. I don't know whether that means the investigation is done, maybe bother to inform us of what happened, but I want to see if maybe, hopefully, maybe we have it with Lisa.
Investigating this.
Be sure it's supposed to be sheriff, but I mean, I think it's supposed to be also independent.
And the Humboldt Police Department.
There you go, yeah.
And highway patrol was involved too.
Right,
Highway Patrol as well.
Are you talking about the officer involved shooting?
yeah, that was over there, and yeah, but it, you know, it went silent afterwards. They said they were, you know,
Yeah.
gave an initial report, said they were going to investigate. I guess,
Well, they can't be trusted to investigate their own. Well,
okay, well, we'll extend that that committee, and that's about all we can do at the moment.
280s.
The next committee would be the Youth Human Rights Commission. Jamie.
Yeah, I haven't done anything. No, just kidding. We've had several meetings since the beginning of November. The subcommittee has met, I think, 2 or 3 times. And then in addition to that, Jim met with the county and talked to the clerk of the Board of Supervisors about the proposal for a youth commission. Steve Madrone was in support. It did come back, there were some concerns and questions about our proposal, and so county council wanted to take a look at that, and I think that Jim passed that, what we had onto them.
What we had at the time, and it just died there.
Yeah, and I hadn't heard anything back. Because of that, we actually were hoping to take it to the December Board of Supervisors meeting, an actual proposal. So we did meet a couple of times, but then there was no time to bring it here, so we decided to kind of wait. And so we're working on, we met 2 or twice, I think, to revise that proposal. I'll be sending it out to all of you to take a look. But there's a couple questions that we had that kind of came up that would be useful to talk about here, I think, if we have a little bit of time to do that.
Sure.
One of the big conversations is about the structure and sustainability of a youth commission. So we had talked about having it as a subcommittee or a club or something that was connected to this Human Rights Commission, perhaps a standing committee, and that there would be either rotation of commissioners who would support that, or, you know, like kind of like we do with the information line, or there would be somebody who would do it for a year or whatever that would look like. But those were some conversations that we talked about. In that conversation, we realized that if we connected them formally to this commission, then they had to follow all of the rules of the Brown Act. And we were concerned that there was concern that that might be a deterrent for youth, that might be a challenge in that process. So we're kind of in this place of, if we don't connect it to us directly, will it still have a draw and an interest and be enough for youth to volunteer? And what will that sustainability look like? What structure will need to be in place
Jamie, what
to
was
support that?
that you thought that kids would have with it being associated with us?
No, it's.
It was more about, it was only about the following the Brown Act. So they have to meet in person, which would maybe limit potential participation for more rural youth. You know, maybe Humboldt youth wouldn't want to participate because they have to be in person to do that. So, I mean, that was really neat.
And Jamie, I was talking to a friend of mine a few weeks ago, who's a principal at a local school. And actually, it's talking to her about if she thought that there'd be anybody for, you know, our panel, the hate speech, free speech thing. She had some thoughts, but one of the things that we ended up talking about was the possibility of the schools beginning to think through human rights issues. And she said the best way to tap into the schools on this is the I don't even know what you call them, not AP classes, but there's special, you know, people, kids who were, interested in AP courses and getting a credit. And apparently it's really active throughout Humboldt County. And she was wondering if maybe the schools could bite off on that rather than the county and help us sponsor that. And that might get around some of that unease.
Yeah, it was one of the directions that we had kind of gone to, also looking at potentially talking to Kente Johnson at CR.
Who has not
Who's
responded.
not responded. So he was super involved in that, or interested in that as well, and was also interested. The city of Eureka has a youth council. So we did meet with them. Jim and I met with them, and their feedback was it was really difficult to get kids to sign up, get youth to sign up, and they were
Well, if they
having
get
some of
extra
the
credit, they might go.
they were having some of the same structural problems that we're anticipating as well. They did give us some feedback on recruitment time. We had originally thought we would recruit in like spring for the next fall, and they said that they got zero interest in spring, probably because people are burnt out. Looking forward to summer. So we adjusted a little bit. So it would be possible to talk to, we have it on our list to talk to all the principals, access all the principals.
What do you need from us? Because I think this is terrific. I mean, you look around the room, there's some young people here, there's a lot of oldies. And the commission has always suffered from an age issue. The older folks who are retired, they tend to volunteer, and that's great. But the commission has tended to be older. And this we at least years ago, we talked about how we can enlist the youth into our commission. So this would be a great way to springboard kids into getting involved and then hopefully becoming commission members.
Nazanin, I'll get you in just a second. I just realized I had missed Alyssa again. So Alyssa, if you want to go, and then Nazanin has a comment.
Yeah, because it would be great. I haven't met you yet. Who's the gentleman who was just speaking?
Lance Madsen, Lance Martin.
Lance. Okay. What Lance was just saying, and what Jamie was saying, it just kind of all of a sudden it came into my mind that what if we were able to make it like a joint venture between a high school and the Human Rights Commission, where we actually worked through the high schools, the local high schools, and created like a lesson plan around it and made it like a civic activity where they could actually gain credits and maybe even extracurricular credits for, if they want to put it on their college applications and stuff like that. I don't know how realistic that is because I am not in high school and don't work with people who are. So, but just saying.
Nazanin?
Never mind.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess to answer the question of what I need from you is in the proposal. Does the proposal even go to the Board of Supervisors if we're not going to have it attached to us?
I think we need to hear from County Council and Kente Johnson before we're ready to propose anything, because it may or may not need the county's blessing. We are scheduled for a January 23rd Board of Supervisors meeting. We could put that off one more month.
I think we should.
Yeah, I think we should too.
And so then the other question is, are we in agreement that having it directly connected or a subcommittee, standing committee, whatever that's going to look like to our commission, which would then impose the Brown Act on the group, is a bad idea or not an idea that would help? And if so, are we in support of me going to like HCOE and trying to get access to the schools?
I do have a question, actually.
Yes.
What would be like the positive? Like, can we do the work without associating the youth commission with our commission?
I think there needs to be some kind of structure, some kind of structural home where it's just going to be volunteers. I mean, like
Okay, if we
Right,
change
so-
the words, does it make it so it's like less affiliated, but still something we did? Like, can we sponsor a youth program?
I think we could, I think we could even still use the words and have it attached, have the schools host it if the schools want to do that. And that would be the structural home and we would like partner with them.
Right, I just don't see I don't see a lot of pro to them having to like abide by the Brown Act.
Oh, I don't either, but.
Yeah, okay, that's what
I
I
don't
thought.
either.
Okay.
None of us. do.
And I think it limits access to people who we want voices from.
It's not just that, but I'm also thinking like structurally in general, because it would require a lot more oversight and like, maybe like too much with the structure
Oh, yeah.
for kids.
Yeah.
They need a little like creativity with.
I agree. My only concern is how to get youth interested. Like, you know, saying you're involved in county government commission looks good on
Scholarship application.
right? Like, I mean, it just looks good and it might be something that would draw people, but I don't know, maybe it looks just as good if we create it in the schools. I don't know.
My friend, the principal,
Mhm.
said to me, if you get those folks involved, you will have more volunteers than you can handle. She
Great.
really believed that. They get units for this, they get credits, they can use this in a positive way to get into college.
I think you have to incentivize them explicitly.
Yeah, what's the incentive?
It has to be
Well-
the school credit,
Credits.
School credit?
or we have to figure out how to pay them. They don't even, a lot of them don't even want to go to college at this point. It's looking bleak. for the
I'd
kids.
like to make a motion, Jim. The motion would be to authorize Jamie to explore that committee's, all the different options you guys
I-
can about how you would, work with the schools or anybody else that you think might be interested in doing this, instead of you having to come back and get permission from the commission.
I have had an idea. What if we just make learning the Brown Act a part of the program? Like where we actually go through and simplify it to its most basic form, usable, allowing them to be able to learn it at its base level. And then as they grow and become accustomed to the whole structure of it, they can start to explore within the structure. If it's something that's going to be around them in their life, in school, being a part of like different advisory boards and stuff, if they want to, represent different committees in school, they're going to definitely need to know how to do all of this. So maybe we could prepare them.
I think it's okay to have that as part of the proposal is that they would get some leadership development. And I think
Right?
teaching them about that and even kind of mock using the Brown Act
Right.
in a very loose way would be okay. I think that would be useful, but locking into actually making them have to follow the Brown Act would be really challenging for them. And I think would also limit, again, limiting voices. So that's my only concern, but I like the idea of teaching them about it. I mean,
Jim, I'll make my second to Lance's motion, because we have a motion on the.
We do have a motion on your second. And it's to basically to authorize Jamie's
committee to pursue various options and how it is we put together a youth commission, regardless of the entities. It could be us, it could be other people, it could be a combo.
Well, we've been doing that. I think it's the school thing, like,
I think buy ourselves a little bit more time
I do too.
and make if county council had questions or concerns, we need to know what they are so we can deal with them. And the same thing with Kente, if he can be of any assistance to us, we need to know that. And then we can move forward. Yeah,
You did some research in terms of some of the other counties and did was it Sonoma County that has an active, and are they linked in with their schools? You know how that?
I don't think we know.
I don't think any of them, I mean, they recruit from the schools, but none of them are connected. All of the councils we talk to, the youth councils, are connected to the county human rights commission. And so they have like San Francisco, they actually have a full-on drop-in center and it's almost a program.
Three employees.
And they have 3 employees and youth are paid and there's lunch every day, like snacks and pizza after school.
That's how you get the kids to come.
They got it great,
Yeah.
but it's also a joint, they have their own budget.
Jim, we should get pizza for us.
I'm with you, but
Incentivized for sure.
And so most of what they do is just, kind of the creative, fun stuff, but they do have to follow the Brown Act for their actual meetings.
They are consolidated, you're a real.
Yeah, we're not gonna be able to do this. It was lovely listening to it. It's very inspiring.
It's a little difficult.
Yeah, it was very inspiring.
I think Alyssa had a good point in terms of the Brown Act is something we all have to live with and it has a good. I learned Robert's Rules of Order and Parliamentary Procedure in 4-H when I was in, junior high and high school. So, I mean, this is not rocket science. This is something that kids are already living with if they're involved in any kind of structural extracurricular activities.
my only concern is that I don't want to make that, I personally don't want to make that the primary objective of the group when they should be dealing with human rights and civil rights issues. If they can learn about the Brown Act along the way, that's a plus. But we do have a motion on the floor, but Jamie's correct. Basically, you're asking to authorize the committee to do what it's already doing.
And it's not necessary, is it?
Kind of doesn't seem like it.
Okay, I withdraw the motion.
Well, I wrote your motion down, and when you first stated it, you said to work with the schools. So then you changed it on the second.
No, okay. I think schools is a great resource for you, and they can take over a lot of this logistic stuff. One of the things that schools really know about organizing is the worst thing to do to a kid is to have them dodge bureaucracy. They will turn off immediately. They don't have the patience for that. So
Eventually, that's true.
So is everyone in support of me kind of shifting? Before we were looking at how do we make it part of this directly linked to this commission? Now it sounds like the direction I'm going to look at, or the committee will look at, is linking it more to HCOE. So it would cover lots of schools versus one school.
It wouldn't be limited to,
It wouldn't be limited to one school. I'd rather have it be one. Are people okay with that?
I see nobody shaking their head no, so I.
Great. If no one's concerned, then that's what I will do. That's the feedback I need. I'll implement that I'll talk to HCOE first, and then we'll update the proposal. And then we need to find out so if they're
I'll take care of that.
are, and maybe extend that or move that date. Maybe even cancel it
I'll just
now.
cancel it for now until we're ready.
And then we need to extend the committee to.
So let's go to 12:31 on the committee.
Yes.
Well,
Are you going to call for the vote?
what are we voting on? Oh, the last,
No, we need it.
We don't need one.
we don't need it now.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. And we're going to
And
be.
thanks to the committee, because we were very active in November up until the first week of December was our last meeting. And so I'll be scheduling them.
Good, great. All right, next item on the agenda is unfinished business. And before we went on our hiatus, we had talked about a tour of the juvenile hall facility. We can schedule a tour on January 17th at 2 p.m. What I would need to know is how many people really would plan to go to tour the facility. So hold your hands up. I'm going
What was the time again?
2 p.m.
2 p.m.
I would go if it wasn't at 2 p.m.
Was there another time?
Well, I work like normal
Till
business
5?
hours. Yeah.
That makes it hard because then the people conducting the tour would probably be getting off too. I'm sorry, raise your hands again if you would go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people. If that would be good. I will get back to, let me write down the names. That was Bird and Holly, Larry, Jim, Jamie?
Yep.
Aaron? And was that the end of it?
I was typing something. What is this a question for?
Would you be able to attend the tour of the juvenile hall on January 17th at 2 p.m.?
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
And meet in front.
I'll get back to you with all the specifics of that as long as I know who I need to mention that to them. So there'll be 8 of us. That's really good.
Say something else, I'm sorry. Something about the youth commission. Can I say something else? about the youth commission?
Oh, yes, go ahead.
I just forgot to mention in my report, at the end of November, first week of December, I actually hired a research assistant from the social work student who's going to help with the development piece as well. So we have them through the end of May, mid-June.
That should be
So work on that. So that will help with some of this stuff too.
very good. All right, under new business, basically we have, Sharon Blank has extended an invitation to the commission to be represented at the Martin Luther King celebration at the Adorney Center on January 15th.
Is it at the Adorney or is it in Arcata? This year it's at the Adorney? Okay, last year it was in
They
Arcata.
didn't have it last year.
I was there.
Maybe it was the Arcata one. I think they have a separate one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it might be because she said it was the first one they've had since COVID. So we would be tabling, we would have a banner, we'd have resource cards to share. I'm going to attend. Would anybody else like to? We don't need too many, but we can try.
I'll try too. I think I can.
All right, well, let me write down those names as well. Aaron, Larry, and I'll get back to you with the specific times. Holly?
Well, if it's a small table, you might, and it's an all-day event,
Yes.
then you might want to a lot of time.
Yeah, we could rotate.
Yeah, thank you.
It's an all-day event, generally.
I'll get back to you on the specific times. I'm probably not all day,
No,
probably 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah, 11
hours, yeah.
Jim, I'd like to also be included in that.
Okay,
I don't know if I can do it, but I want to be included.
okay, well, I'll keep you on the list then until you tell me otherwise. All right. Well, we touched on this earlier. I don't know if there's anything to say about the behavioral health item. Should we just move that to the next agenda?
Yeah, I'll print out some of it, but I guess just rough reviews on what it wrote.
Okay.
So we can distribute it to everybody. And if you do want to look, I mean, I'll try to resend out that email. Because there are a couple of good articles that are in the paper, but that's not back.
If you still have your own copy of the agenda, the link is right there too.
Oh, talk about this, it would be really great if we could invite somebody from DHHS, even better, the Director of Mental Health, to come in and talk specifically about the local impact of the March proposal. The latest estimate I saw was $700 million going to be taken out of local mental health.
Whoa.
$700 million out of mental health.
Where are they putting it?
Does anybody have any current contacts?
Well, there's been good coverage in the Times Standard.
I feel like we have a contact here.
I'm the I'm the second vice chair on the behavioral health board.
And
Have you agendized this issue?
You said, does anybody have any contacts? I can contact anybody on the board or even in higher ups if you want.
well, let me find out what Rick is going to say, and then maybe we'll have you both reaching out.
Well,
Okay.
My daughter is in charge of the behavioral health programs in DHHS.
Oh,
Right.
that's pretty good.
I think we have a conflict.
Alyssa, I think we're okay. Would you mind making a contact and see if somebody would be willing to speak for maybe 10 or 15 minutes
Here at the commission.
here at the commission? It could be remote, but it'd be nice if it was in person.
Okay. Well, I'll make up a day afterwards to get some details. on
Sure,
that.
yeah, absolutely. Okay.
That would be for
Me too. Dr. Boston.
February 8th, right? Our next meeting, right?
Is that what it is?
Or do we actually meet on, oh, never mind, the first. February.
Oh, it's the first.
It's the first.
So no.
So we got it.
Yeah, yeah.
Quick,
That's for sure.
February 1st,
First.
the first, and that'll sneak up.
Okay, next item on the agenda. I don't have anything to report on the language translations, except that the county reached out. They reached out to the grand jury, which I get confused. People get confused when I present stuff to them. And they're getting ready to convert the phone line to an option for a second language. I don't know where they stand on that, because the last time they sent an email, they sent it to the grand jury and not to me or to us. And so I'm waiting to get further response on that. But at least they're working on it. The next item is something that Nazanin suggested we bring up, and I think it's a good one. And it kind of relates to a lot of the discussion we're having tonight. What can the Human Rights Commission do to increase its visibility and role in the community? For instance, we're doing the MLK. That's an example of good outreach, but is that all we need to do? And would you like to say a few words, Nazanin, about what you were thinking?
Well, I guess I definitely think we should get active on social media. But I think we talked about it, but we didn't go too far. I was wondering if there's like a password for the Facebook account, or if we need to make a new one. Do you know who has access?
Who set that up? Why don't I meet with you in the near future? If you're willing to work that angle, I think that's a good starting for sure.
Yeah.
But, the content has got to be within certain parameters. We have rules that we have to follow, but it also has to be engaging and fresh all the time. If it's not, we're not reaching anybody.
Right.
I'll be glad to get in touch with you about that.
Okay.
I want to say Eddie Morgan might have set that up, but I'm not sure.
Are we asking commission members to go to their respective city councils and share with them the hate speech versus free speech forum?
Again, I think that's
Is that on the agenda?
something you guys should discuss on Monday, because there are a lot of steps we could take to get the word out.
Sure.
The county, like I said, the county here already knows about it, but it doesn't mean they should only know once. We should mention it more than once. Anything else, Nazanin, in that regard?
I think it's a good idea to do events, like you said.
Your speech, hate speech.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think we're doing it at the same time, like I think it's a great idea to put the event on. Yeah, it might be good if we were able to get into the Facebook account pretty quickly. You can add to like these kinds of things in the future, like find us on Facebook, and that helps kind of like build momentum of people who are interested. And then, if we do events in the future, they'll be easier to access. It's just like marketing and advertising, and It can be kind of dreary, but
That's kind
it's a good way to get people
of
involved.
necessary.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll definitely get in touch with you about that. The other thing, you and I had spoken about this, it's the whole concept of things happen in the community. A lot of times they're not good things either, like the
Right.
sanctuary gardens being repeatedly attacked or issues developing. Well, right now we have the whole back and forth over Gaza and Israel. But it can be a local issue, it can be a national issue. And we meet once a month. And I think we've got our rapid response letter template, and we've got a process for letting people approve something so that we can get it out to the public. But we really need your involvement to, and you can funnel them my way. If you are aware of a really hot issue that we need to deal with, and we need to deal with it before the next regular meeting, that's where I think we can improve our visibility. It's not that we're going to be activists in every issue that comes along, but if there's a wrong being done, we need to call it out. And I think that if you can help generate information, we won't be behind the eight ball all the time. Carol, were you going to?
Oh, I just thought of something. In the school with the sports, they're having difficulty with accessing officials, referees, and so forth because of the parents' verbal abuse to them.
Oh, I bet.
And we almost didn't have our basketball season because of not having enough refs. And again, that has to do with the speech and on the court.
Yeah, it's permeating all our lives.
I have umpired high school baseball for almost a decade. I don't do it anymore. I retired. Actually, I quit because I got so sick and tired of the abuse. It was absolutely horrible. And it wasn't just from fans. It was from coaches and their players. It was stunning to me how awful they were. It was awful. So I get that.
Holly?
Years ago, 2015, 2016, somewhere, there was a Ferndale. Y'all know I'm a wildcat, but there were some really serious sportsmanship issues that arose. And there was a whole program available through the sports league, a video, an agenda for assemblies for people to talk about sportsmanship. And now when the program, the fancy program with pictures and all, those rules are printed in the front of the program. I mean, a lot of people are aware of this problem. And I don't know how you get adults to act like adults. Truly.
Telling somebody to calm down or cool their jets or whatever way you want to put it people aren't doing that anymore. We're afraid maybe to say anything because maybe they'll turn on you. It's a horrible state.
I one time threw an entire baseball team out of the park. Every single one of them, I threw them all out. You can imagine what the coaches and parents thought of me. But they were so obscene. They were such lousy winners. It was awful. Throw them out.
Well, if you notice, there's a poster over there, a big poster. And that's you're saying that they have this, we should think about that for our forum. We should have something, good behavior, how to behave. And that's one of the things we're trying to get across to people is how you behave in a civil society. So maybe
We have those markets and stores that we have.
I still have
And we still have.
a bunch of
I have them in my trunk.
yeah, they're laminated and they're.
Yeah, they're great. You hand them out?
Next meeting, I will bring them all to the meeting and we can get them out in the public because
The great thing about that thing that we did was you go into stores where they say, we have the right to refuse service to anybody. And then I would point out to the manager, no, you don't have that right. You cannot refuse service because they're black or because they're, LBGT, whatever that is. Frankly, I'm sorry, I always forget.
no, I'll bring those to the next meeting because I think they're not doing any good in my filing cabinet.
And when you explain it to them, they go, oh, yeah. And then you have a sign and you give them the sign and then you see them in the store instead of go away. It's more inclusive.
There's a fruit and vegetable stand that parks at the corner of Herrick and Elk River Road. And they requested one of those signs.
Really?
So they must have been having trouble with a customer or something. And I was pleased to deliver it to them. Alyssa. Now there's
Okay. What this is all bringing to mind is that we all want to win. Every single one of us wants to win in our own world. It doesn't matter what the other ideas are or where we sit or how we see the world or if we're doing good or not, or if we think we are, or we are completely confused about everything around us. We all want to be the ones who are winning. And how do you even do that anymore? Like it used to be, there was a certain amount of subservience that was expected and adhered to. But now we got so much more revolutionaries and on all sides of all the fences. So how do you make everybody right?
Yeah,
You
well,
can't.
The committee that's working on hate speech and free speech will, that might be the basis of a question. Maybe you should write a question
Send that question to us.
based on that thought.
Okay, I'll send it to you, Jim, so you can pass it on. Thank you.
We sit in on their meeting on Monday.
I would love to be a part of their meeting if they want to invite me.
Well, I can't because I'm not even eligible. I'm just taking notes, but I appreciate it. There's the Brown Act for you right there.
There's a Brown Act.
Leslie,
Just to go back real quick,
I know you know.
do we know the protocols of the review rapid response? The protocols and the
I
process?
did not bring them
Okay,
with me. I'm sorry about that.
that's okay.
I will refresh myself and spread that information out to everybody so you can all see it. Would you remind me, Bert will remember, when we first are acknowledging a problem, who is to be notified first? We decided it was too slow to try to reach the whole commission,
Yeah, this is the executive committee.
the officers there.
Yeah.
And they can approve of a statement from the commission as a whole if they all agree.
So that's the rapid response group.
Yes. So there's part of it for you, Nazanin.
Okay.
Within our shared folder.
Somewhere. Well, maybe you'll find it. All right. Well, folks, is there anything else that anybody would like to bring up? Yes, sir.
Future agenda item.
Yes.
It was brought up earlier, the different locations for meetings.
Almost forgot it again.
So can we think about, especially when the weather gets a little bit better, would be kind of nice, maybe April through August, that we might consider other places so we can actually, that would kind of fit in with this idea of getting the commission recognized if we
That's
showed up in different locations.
With pizza?
With people.
I mean,
With people, oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
You are
Yeah.
thinking
I'm
about,
just gonna keep bringing it up.
if you
No, I mean, it's excellent. I mean, it's just, right now, you're not gonna go anywhere. It's gonna start snowing. Easily, you get it.
if we are thinking about alternative places to meet, what we need to keep in mind before you make a suggestion is, I think the incentive behind it is to try to make it a friendly space that everybody can feel comfortable. That's why the City of Eureka's Humboldt Equity Consortium is no longer meeting in City Hall. They're meeting at the Adorning Center. It's a more comfortable, less
Threatening.
environment. But there are other things to consider. Would we want to give up on Zoom or Access Humboldt in order to take a room or place that didn't have all the facilities in place? Those are some of the logistical problems we would run into. But they'll definitely will be on the agenda for a thorough discussion at the next meeting.
How many, views do we have? Do you know?
I don't
I'm just
think,
wondering if.
I don't think it's great.
Right. So
Maybe Alyssa?
being on
I mean,
Zoom.
we know that some people watch it, because I've had people tell me
Yeah.
they've seen it.
Yeah, I'm sure it is seen. We don't really ever know.
Wait, what are we talking about? I was typing.
The meeting views.
The Zoom.
Oh,
Zoom so much as Access Humboldt.
oh, okay. I don't know. What? Couldn't hear that.
Well, we'll dig into that. Yes, Carol?
Jim, for a future guest to invite, Arcady has a new chief of police, right? And remember when we had the other chief of police, he came and introduced himself and we shared what our relationship would be with him.
Yeah, Todd Larson. That was the Eureka play.
EPD has a new one too, so
EPD, yeah.
Jarvis retired.
Oh, that's right. We did.
Yeah, Brian Stevens, and
And
we've already
do you
got a
know-
good relationship.
Do you know the name of the arcade?
Zarkada.
Would you share it?
It's another Brian.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, so, yeah. Yeah, well,
They didn't want to change the name.
no, it's
There's also
I think that's a good idea.
sugars.
a new program director of Arcata House. It's.
Your next board is sleep.
Well, she's a program director and I think she was there before. She actually was the manager of the Bay Shore Mall. And she's taken on a new position with Arcata House. Arcata's Kate Newby was her name.
Newbie?
That's the way it sounds. And I think that she may be a good possible speaker. Because we had a hard time getting Arcata House to speak in the past. I think. When was the last time we had one? I attempted and I never got calls back, so.
And you'll recall, this isn't really related, but we tried to get people on both sides of the issue for the ballot initiative about housing in Eureka. Never got anybody to respond at all.
Actually, we did get one, remember? I think we had one that responded, but only one side.
That was just one side. We wanted a fair debate. Well, these are some good ideas for upcoming activities. Is there anything anybody else needs to bring up before we adjourn?
Happy New Year.
Have some feedback.